Stages of development. This is the age period where certain needs, behaviors, experiences, and capabilities are common and different from other age periods. This includes prenatal period, infancy, early childhood, middle and late childhood, adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. So now let us proceed to the first stage of development, the prenatal period. The prenatal development or the prenatal period is a period of time before birth. And you might also have heard the terms antenatal meaning before birth and postnatal meaning after birth. Let's take a look at some of the changes that take place during each of the three periods of prenatal development. The germinal period, the embryonic period, and the fetal period. The germinal period lasts from conception to implantation of the zygote in the lining of the uterus. During the first week after conception, the zygote divides and multiplies, going from 1-cell structures to 2 cells, then 4 cells, then 8 cells, and so on. After the zygote divides for about 7 to 10 days and has 150 cells, it travels down the fallopian tube and implants itself in the lining of the uterus. Next is the embryonic period. At 22 days after conception, the neural tube forms along the back of the embryo, developing into the spinal cord and brain. Growth during prenatal development occurs in two major directions, from head to tail and from the midline outward. This means that those structures nearest the head develop before those nearest the feet, and those structures nearest the torso develop before those away from the center of the body. It is during this stage that the major structures of the body are taking form, making the embryonic period the time when the organism is most vulnerable to the greatest amount of damage if exposed to human substances. So now let us proceed to the fetal period. In the following weeks, the fetus will develop hair, nails, teeth, and the excretory and digestive systems will continue to develop. By the time the fetus reaches the 6th month of development, it weighs up to 1.4 pounds, around 36 weeks. The fetus is almost ready for birth. It weighs about 6 pounds and is about 18.5 inches long. And by week 37 of the fetus, organ systems are developed enough that it could survive outside the uterus without many of the risks associated with premature birth. The fetus continues to gain weight and grow in length until approximately 40 weeks. And the next stage of development is the infancy. Infancy is defined as the first year of life and is the period of most rapid growth after birth. As a toddler, humans develop motor skills such as the ability to walk and communication skills. During the infancy, the baby doubles in length and triples in weight. Other important changes also happen during this stage. The baby's teeth start to come in, usually about 6 months of age. The baby starts smiling, paying attention to other people, and grabbing toys. The baby begins making bubbling sounds. By the end of the first year, the baby is starting to say a few words such as mama and dada. And baby learns to sit, crawl, and stand. By the end of the first year, the baby may start to walk. Next is the early childhood development. As children grow into early childhood, their world will begin to open up. They will become more independent and begin to focus more on adults and children outside of the family. They will want to explore and ask about the things around them even more. Their interactions with family and those around them will help to shape their personality and their own ways of thinking and moving. During this stage, children should be able to ride a tricycle, notice a difference between girls and boys, help to dress and undress themselves, and play with other children. And these are the physical development in this stage. Not only are 3 to 5 years olds growing in height and weight, but they are also fine-tuning gross and fine motor skills. Like everything else, mastery of the skills will vary by child and by their ability and size. As your 3 to 5 years old grows, they are learning more about their own body and how to control it. Their balance will get better, and with the practice, your child will be able to do things they hadn't been able to before, like running, jumping, and biking. Next is the emotional development. Temper tantrums tend to peak around this age as your child learns to deal with stressful situations. So even though your 3 to 5 years old may insist on independence, they still struggle to deal with frustration when given the opportunity to try something on their own. And last is the social development. You may notice a change in how they interact with other children and start developing true friendships with new friends. Preschoolers are influenced by the things they love, so it's common for them to copy their favorite character from TV or books. The next stage is the middle and late childhood. Middle and late childhood spans the ages between early childhood and adolescence, approximately ages 6 to 11 years old. Children gain greater control over the movement of their bodies, mastering many gross and fine motor skills that eluded the younger child. Changes in the brain during this age enable not only physical development but contributes to greater reasoning and flexibility of thought. School becomes a big part of middle and late childhood. It expands their world beyond the boundaries of their own family. Peers start to take center stage, often prompting changes in the parent-child relationship. Peer acceptance also influences children's perception of self and may have consequences for emotional development beyond these years. Children in middle to late childhood are also better able to plan, coordinate activity using both left and right hemispheres of the brain, and to control emotional outbursts. Paying attention is also improved as the prefrontal cortex matures. And the next one is the adolescence. The adolescent stage of development, 3 to 18 years old, are a stage of development where the role of the parent or guardian in the life of a teenager is critical. This is also due to the volatile behavior of an adolescent. In men, the first change in your body is the growth of your testicles. There are hormones in one part of the brain that causes the testicles to enlarge. The scrotum becomes thinner and the testicles sag slightly. For women, adolescence is a time of important changes and growth for young women. All of these changes do not happen immediately at once but over several months to several years. Adolescence is the time for a girl to be a virgin. It is also the time when their body has achieved the ability to conceive, their waists are curved, and the breasts are getting a little bigger, and the body hair is growing and getting ridges. Next is the early adulthood. This is the stage of development where a person becomes typically vibrant, active and healthy, and are focused on friendships, romance, careers, and childbearing. And there are 3 changes happens in this stage of development. First is the physical change. Females reach their adult heights by the age of 18 and most of the males reach their adult heights by the age of 21. However, muscles continue to gain mass, especially among males, and both genders continue to add body fat. Average weight gain for both women and men are about 15 pounds. Second is the cognitive change. In this stage, essential brain growth already has taken place, and individuals are now applying and using their knowledge and analytical capabilities. And last is the emotional changes. In early adulthood, an individual is concerned with developing the ability to share intimacy, seeking to form relationships, and find intimate love. Long-term relationships are formed and often marriage and children result. The young adult is also faced with career decisions. And we're now in the middle adulthood stage. The stage where adults begin to contribute to other generation and frequently caring for others, and engaging in meaningful works and participating in challenging physical and mental activities. and make use of social resources are more likely to maintain excellent health during these years. Next is the physical development. During this stage, middle-aged people experience many physical changes that signal that the person is aging, like wrinkles and weight gain. For the woman, their bodies start to decline and experience menopause. And next is the mental development happen in middle adulthood stage. Middle-aged people feel stressed to the things like health and well-being, disruptions to daily schedules, plans for the future, and finances. Even though many are stressed in life, acquired an understanding of life and learn to cope with many different stresses, having a confident decisions, makes and excel at analyzing situation. And the social development. In this age, they are already looking for someone to be with until they get older, and they socialize more with people even when they don't know them than when they were young. And finally, the last stage, the late adulthood. In this stage, they are really tired and they have a hard time in making tasks because their physical strength diminishes. Also in this stage, their immune system weakens and their vision declines. During this stage, the late adulthood stamina, strength, and suppleness start to decline. Mobility becomes more of a challenge, difficulties with fine motor skills, that control coordination and dexterity. Skin loses elasticity and resulting in wrinkles. Their memory degenerates, their brain is slower functioning, that is why they tend to be forgetful. Older adults have a harder time remembering and attending to information. In general, an older person's procedural memory tends to remain stable while working memory declines. During this stage, they are already retired and they feel lonely sometimes when their family is away. So to lessen the loneliness in them, they tend to be active in social lives like participating in some positive hobbies like Zumba, gardening, volunteering, and many more. They do that to lessen their loneliness within them and to increase their self-worth and self-esteem. All in all, stages of development is really important for us to track our developmental tasks and behavior in different stages. And thus are the stages of development.